helping you put the big P in profession. Here's our career Sherpa, Julie Bauke.
Sloaney here. It's News Radio 700 WLW. You may have heard, of course, about the controversy of the week, and that is involving the college admission scams, in which we had a number of high-profile B-level celebrities, C-level celebrities in Hollywood, bribe admissions folks, essentially interlopers to get their kids into what they think is a good college, be it USC or others. And, of course, this has exposed the dark underbelly of college in that, guess what? It's all about the money, baby. What you get in return, largely for about 80% of people, is not worth the investment. However, this is not about crapping on college necessarily. It's rather than crapping on us, parents, because we're the ones who created this whole thing. To the point where you go, okay, well, if I'm able to cajole my kid into a college somewhere, be it by, giving a little taste to maybe the admissions guy or getting a coach to say that my son or daughter is part of is going to be recruited for athletics, which isn't the case, which is an out-faced lie, or getting someone to cheat on an SAT, ACT, trying to get them diagnosed with some sort of disorder that would allow them extra time to finish the test. Not really, again, paving the way for the best and brightest necessarily at colleges when you're paying your way into something you may not be qualified for. And so what this leads to, and we talked about the college thing, but what about what happens when these folks go to school, graduate, and then become employed? Then what happens? How do mom and dad act then? It's called lawnmower parenting. Joining me is the aforementioned Julie Bauke on the show this morning on 700 WLW, and she's with the BaukeGroup.com. That's Bauke, Cincinnati's premier job coach. Julie, good morning.
Good morning.
Lawnmower parenting. Where did that term come from? That's a new one. Lawnmower.
Oh gosh, there's lawnmower parenting. Of course, it started with helicopter parenting, where we hovered, and then lawnmower, and then I've also heard bulldozer, sort of to clear the path.
And snowplow.
Make sure that your child never encounters anything that might hurt their ego or their self-esteem or their feelings, or put them in a position of not being the very, very best.
All right, so problematically speaking then, what happens is these kids go to school, and I don't know the percentage of young people who are helped by their parents along the way, and maybe that bulldozing has occurred to get them what the parents think that the kids want, but at some point they have to stand on their own. We're now seeing that those two worlds collide in the workplace.
Yeah. This was fascinating. This was a poll by the New York Times and Morning Consult. It says, of a nationally representative group of parents between 8 children or 18 to 28, 75% of parents of those 18 to 28-year-olds had made appointments for their adult children, like doctor visits or haircuts. Same percentage reminded them of deadlines for school. So in other words, you're calling them to remind them they have something due at college. And here's the work one. 11% said they would contact their child's employer if their child had an issue at work. 11%. That is appalling. That it's even anything over 0%.
Right, exactly. Calling because you're having a conflict at work. But again, it's back to the issue. If we don't allow our kids the ability to solve their own problems and deal with their own crises, then you're just delaying adulthood to the point of absurdity now.
Yeah, and imagine if you're an employer and you get a call because, little Muffy isn't happy because she didn't get the assignment she wanted, or someone is being mean to her, and so you're sitting in human resources, or you're the supervisor of Muffy, and you get this call from Muffy's mother or father about the way you're treating their daughter. I mean, you really think you're helping your daughter's career? Do you really think you're doing anything but making yourself look like an idiot and make your daughter look like, because apparently she is not able to handle life as an adult in the workplace? And all you're doing is creating trouble. Yet we can't help ourselves, apparently.
Does anyone ever really name their kid Muffy? Because I don't know if you'd be employable. I don't know if I could hire someone named Muffy.
Muffi with an I on the end.
I don't know. And you would, with the I, of course, when you sign your name, then it would be 2 dots and a smiley face over the top.
Or a heart.
Or a heart. Very good. Julie Bauke on the show here on 700 WLW. Yeah, so you're 25, 26 years old, and I don't know, you have a sick day. Does mom write you a note? Does she still pack your lunch?
Well, they're saying that, I've got a 25-year-old and I make a haircut appointment for him or a doctor's appointment for him. And so the extension to, when my son or daughter's looking for a job. So we hear this all the time from employers who will call back maybe to a college and say, oh, my heavens, your student showed up and their mother came with them to the interview. That is not uncommon at all. And so you've got that bridge there. You've got college where the parents are involved, and then we know from a college and entry-level employer standpoint that they have problems with parents getting over-involved, maybe with the salary negotiation. Well, clearly little Bobby deserves more than everybody else. Do you know that he was captain of the blah, blah, blah team? So they get involved in the interview and salary negotiations, and so we shouldn't be surprised then that it extends to the workplace.
Well, in life, too. I was just talking to a doctor, Julie, about, vaping and the like, too. And, smoking law is going to pass this 21-year-old, or Mike DeWine wants that, which, no one should be smoking. It's a horrible habit. It's not good for you. It's bad for pretty much everyone around you. I understand that. But we still have a little thing called free will, and you're allowed to do harm to yourself. And I would contend, hey, we're going to raise the smoking age to 21. Well, hell, you're delaying some of those tough decisions that pretty soon it's going to be, okay, we'll make it 30 or whatever. So I'm not condoning smoking. I'm just using an example here that eventually you're going to have to make tough decisions on your own.
Yeah, you do. And you're going to get smacked down. Obviously, because of what I do, I talk to my kids about their work issues, and I help them think through things. But, as much as sometimes the mama bear comes out and you want to march into their workplace and smack somebody, you never even think about that. Even though you may feel like your child is getting treated unfairly, always remember you're only hearing one side of it.
Yep.
Yeah, the professor's unfair to me. Well, okay. But, Mom, did you also know that, your son sleeps in class and forgot to turn in their last 3 assignments? And so we're all familiar as parents with hearing one side of the story. And the more I think it starts, at a young age when we want to go in and fight the kids' battles and immediately assume the teacher's wrong and that they're picking on our child. And so the fact that we're surprised by all this college admissions cheating, it should be surprising to us that we're surprised.
Yeah, but how widespread is it? Because imagine a lot of parents, a lot of people listening right now are rolling their eyes at this, Julie Bauke. That wait a minute, hold on a second now. Parents are showing up to job interviews, and it's the lawnmower, or snowplow, or bulldozer parent, whatever you want to call it. That there's these horror stories, but are they the exception rather than the rule?
For sure, yeah. But you look at college campuses. Okay, so now it used to be. Junior shows up on day one for orientation. Mom and Dad drive away quickly because they're happy to have Junior out of the house. But now they've got, on college campuses, they've got these programs for parents during orientation. Here's what Junior's life's going to be like. Here's how you can help and not help, where they subtly and not subtly say, stay out of it. Don't call the professor. And so it's a big enough issue that colleges have had to create programs for freshman parents on how to behave. Back in your day and my day, oh my gosh, first of all, I couldn't wait for my parents to leave because I wanted to start my college life. But the thought of them picking up the phone and fighting my battles, as unpleasant as it is to have battles, that's what prepares you for life. And
well, as a kid, you're being told what to do all the time, and that's why you can't wait to get away from mom and dad so you can make your own choices and then quickly learn how hard that is. My daughter moved, and when she moved, she called 2 weeks later apologizing to my wife, going, I never knew how hard this was. So like, yeah, well, guess what? So she apologized. I'm sorry I was such a jerk when I was a kid, when I was, just 2 weeks ago. Like, well, now you're learning the lessons yourself. But, that's one example of how it's supposed to work. But, when you're protecting the kid from any conceivable problem or strife whatsoever, that the kid's incapable of making the decision without you. And I love today, where we're so close to our kids. I can, text my kids anytime and reach out to them and have conversations, certainly a lot more than it used to be in the past, and show more emotion and love towards the kids, and it's more socially accepted. I don't think that's a bad thing, but to the point where now we are essentially trying to kiss the boo-boo into their 20s, we're not helping these young people. Do they realize it? The young people realize that they're being retarded by mom and dad?
No, I don't think so. Because you have to, you have to allow your mom. I mean, maybe you ask your mom to call human resources, your dad. I don't know, maybe, but maybe you did or didn't. I don't know, but I don't think so. I mean, I think they
no
see.
shame.
I think when you grow up like that, you see your parents as an extension of yourself. Your parents see every aspect of your life either as some criticism of their parents if you're not in an Ivy League school or if you're not, in a four-year college. So a lot of this is parental ego. And what do we want to talk about at the club? I don't want to say that Junior failed out of a two-year college, or maybe even, and we've talked about this before, I don't want to say, I know that your daughter is going to some prestigious school. I don't really want to tell you that my son is going to auto mechanic school. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Which is that's nuts. I mean, we have to quit measuring ourselves and our success as a parent on the level of societal prestige that our progeny are able to achieve, and that's where it starts.
No, it's like to love him too. It's like when that question comes up, well, I got to say, how much debt is he going to carry?
Exactly.
Aren't you concerned about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the student debt is absolutely crippling. And you and I've talked about this before. We get all excited about saying that Junior got into this school or that school, and we aren't even thinking 4 years ahead that Junior, the history major, or is in a profession that very employable maybe, but doesn't pay much, is going to start a job at $25,000-$30,000 a year, and maybe and make and have $60,000 to $80,000 in debt.
Yeah, largely I get that conversation. You play where's your kid going to school? He's not. He's trades or whatever. My daughter's still figuring. Oh, okay. What was yours? Well, I got accepted to today. Well, what's he studying? Oh, he's gonna be an art history major. You taking out loans for that?
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be in the poorhouse there for a long time. So, yeah, usually the conversation doesn't turn. That's why people don't like talking to me. Anyway, Julie Bauke is here from the Bauke Group, BaukeGroup.com, Bauke. She's a career coach and the like. And so the bottom line is it may seem enticing to call your kids' employers or go along with them in the interview, but don't do it. And I think, again, this is a rare exception. I just don't believe that's the rule.
It's not the rule, but I've talked to leaders of organizations who say, oh, yeah, our HR department gets calls fairly often.
Oh.
Yeah, smaller companies. I was talking to a CEO who said, in my small company of 300 people, we will commonly get calls from parents. And it's always, for the same kids. It's not every kid, but, it's not uncommon at all for HR to get calls about the level of the person's salary increase or the way they were treated by a coworker. I would still not say it's the rule, but it's not the slim exception like maybe we're hoping it is.
Well, I mean, it's one thing for a kid to ask you, hey, I'm going in for a raise, can you give me advice? Yeah, but doing it for him is an entirely different thing.
Exactly.
Like you're just starting out. You have no negotiation platform whatsoever. You have no experience, no skills yet. Whatever they offer you, take it.
Right. Well,
if it's the only offer.
It's kids and parents. I mean, this is what I do for a living, and it took my kids 20-some years to listen to me. So,
they don't listen?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm giving you this advice for free, kid. And they're like, whatever, you're my mom.
Right, Pearl's here.
So,
eventually they'll realize you're right. Julie Bauke at the Bauke Group, that's BAUKE.com, TheBaukeGroup.com. She's a career counselor, the best here in Cincinnati, and we talk every Wednesday morning about career-related stuff. Jules, thanks again. Have a great day.
All right, see you next week.